Welcome back to the Need.co podcast. I'm your host, Nate Need. Today, we're diving into a question that may seem fundamental, but its answer has reshaped how one of the world's most influential companies operates. That is, do managers actually matter? This question was at the heart of a multi year research project at Google known as Project Oxygen, a study that sought to get to the bottom of whether or not managers play a meaningful role in driving team success, satisfaction, and performance. Now, you might think that the answer is obvious. Of course, managers matter, right? But here's the twist: Google didn't start with that assumption. Google is, at its core, an engineering driven company filled with incredibly talented engineers and data scientists who like solving problems with logic and data, not necessarily with layers of management. Early on, many engineers at Google thought managers were mostly unnecessary, that managers might even create more obstacles than they removed. This mindset drove the company's early leadership to question whether management was really needed or whether teams could work better without it. And so Project Oxygen was born. Today, we'll walk through what Project Oxygen set out to achieve, what it discovered, and the lasting impact it's had on Google's culture. We'll even get into a story about a reluctant manager, a guy who thought management was just corporate fluff, who became one of the project's success stories. Let's start with some background. It was the early 2000s and Google was growing rapidly. They had top tier talent, a culture of innovation, and an ambitious mission to organize the world's information. But there was tension around the role of management. Was it necessary, or was it just a relic of the corporate world? At the time, a lot of engineers at Google were skeptical of management. Many believed that managers added bureaucracy, stifled creativity, and made things more complicated. They saw their work as hands on, technical, and laser focused on problem solving, traits that seemed to clash with what they perceived as the vague soft skills of management. This sentiment led Google executives to wonder, do managers really add value, or are they simply another layer between employees and innovation? Project Oxygen was launched to answer that question with data. Google wanted to know if good management could be boiled down to specific behaviors that could be measured, taught, and hopefully adopted company wide. As Google's research team gathered data and ran surveys, they uncovered clear patterns, certain management behaviors that, when done right, were linked to higher team performance, employee satisfaction, and retention. Project Oxygen distilled these behaviors into what's now known as Google's 8 attributes for effective managers. I'll run through these attributes because they're surprisingly straightforward, but also incredibly insightful. Here they are. Number 1, be a good coach. Number 2, empower your team and avoid micromanaging. Number 3, show interest in your team members' well being and success. Number 4, be productive and results oriented. Number 5, be a good communicator, listen and share information. Number 6, help your team with career development. Number 7, have a clear vision and strategy for your team. And number 8, possess key technical skills so you can offer valuable guidance and insight. Do you notice something here? These aren't groundbreaking new ideas, they're almost common sense. But what was groundbreaking was the fact that Google had the data to back it up. They had the numbers to show that when managers practiced these behaviors, their teams performed better. And this wasn't just a short term trend. These behaviors had a lasting impact. With the 8 attributes in place, Google didn't just create a list and leave it at that. They developed a comprehensive training program around these attributes. This included workshops, coaching sessions, and feedback loops where managers could get input from their teams. They wanted to make sure managers were consistently working on these skills and behaviors. What's more, Google went all in with measurement. They tracked manager performance using surveys and looked at metrics like team performance and employee satisfaction to see if Project Oxygen was having a real impact. And it was. The results were impressive. Google saw significant improvements in managerial effectiveness. Teams with managers who practiced the 8 attributes performed better, and employees reported feeling more satisfied in their roles. Even employee retention improved. People were more likely to stay at Google if they had a manager who followed the Project Oxygen principles. In fact, the project created a noticeable cultural shift within Google. Management went from something viewed with skepticism to being a valued part of Google's identity. Managers were no longer seen as obstacles, they were seen as enablers. But the journey didn't end there. Project Oxygen raised a new question. Could Google take what they learned about management and apply it to their senior leadership? Google wanted to ensure these principles extended beyond frontline managers and into the company's core leadership. They knew that scaling these attributes to senior leaders wouldn't be a one-size-fits-all process. Senior leaders have broader strategic responsibilities, and their focus may not always allow for one-on-one coaching. But the hope was that these behaviors could still be adapted to fit any leadership role, helping Google create a unified culture of people first management. So, what are the key takeaways from Google's Project Oxygen? First, it's clear that management does matter, but it's not about hierarchy or control. It's about support, coaching, and creating an environment where people can thrive. Second, we learned that great management can be broken down into specific teachable behaviors. And finally, Project Oxygen allows us the power of data-driven insights for organizational development. It's proof that a data-centric approach to people management can transform company culture, performance, and the individual success of employees. So whether you're managing a team of 2 or 200, remember, people first management isn't just a theory, it's a practice. And if Google, a company built by engineers for engineers, could be transformed by the power of good management, maybe it's time to rethink what managers can truly do for us. Thank you for listening to the Need.co podcast. We welcome your feedback and hope you like and subscribe to this episode. Stay tuned for more episodes on managerial success.